Loads of rare and special cars visit the Isle of Man every year, from Porsches to Ferraris, Lamborghinis, what have you. But today is special even by our absolutely insane standards. Look at this. This little gathering, yes, pun intended, is probably one of the rarest sights you will ever see in your life. It's a gathering of the Peels, which of course were made here in the Isle of Man, in Peel. And they are celebrating their 60th anniversary. And I have never seen so many of them in one place. There's even Vikings there too. Tridents, P50s. They are super mega rare. And well, here's just a look at their gathering this weekend. Hopefully I'm going to catch some nice footage. So this is now Saturday morning. We're at the grandstand for a little get together and display. There's even the yacht car there. I didn't even know that existed. So these are the Peels. They're over for the weekend. So now is the display at the grandstand, and then later they're down on the prom. I catch some footage. Tomorrow they're at the Peel Carnival on Sunday, and back at the Peel factory, or at least at the location where the factory used to be. And considering they only built about 47 P50s and a handful of the other ones, to see this many in one place is absolutely amazing and special. Now they're not all originals, some are replicas. Including one very famous one, and that's Eddie Hall's electric one, the world's strongest man. You may have seen him driving around in that. Yes, he does fit in it, but they have to take the windows out. So, the Peels are over for the weekend. I'm just going to try and grab some footage for you. Enjoy. Some of these obviously are replicas, but this one is real. The prototype, of course, is real. The one next to it is from the Motor Museum in Derby. That one's real. Most of the other ones actually are. There are a few replicas, obviously. The one that Eddie Hall owns, which is this one, with the upped electric powertrain. That's about 20k, this one with the paint. 20 horsepower, I think he said it has, which is pretty insane for that little thing. That's obviously a new replica version. That one I recognize from the museum.
Yep.
That's original. Which other ones are original? The yacht car I didn't even know existed.
Yeah. It's kind of never quite finished. That's a new build.
Yeah, that's Eddie Hall.
That's the original prototype there, with the single front wheel, and then there's a replica one of that further up as well.
Ah, okay. Someone did a replica of the prototype.
Yeah.
That's crazy. What about the Vikings?
They're all proper ones.
See, I don't want to know the price tag on that.
The Vikings aren't as desirable as the microcars, just because microcars are always their own little, ignore the pun, bubble,
True. That was Darren, by the way, who we know from the Motor Museum. in Derby. All right, let's have a look at the Vikings, shall we?
Oh, Batman!
These are ultra rare. Who knew we used to build our own sports car in the Isle of Man, huh? Well, sports car, sort of. Good morning, everyone. It's Sunday now when I'm in Peel with the Peels. So yesterday they were mostly out in Douglas on the grandstand and down on the prom. And today it's, well, coming home day for these cars, I guess. So there'll be a photo shoot outside the old Peel factory, which is sort of behind me here somewhere. Never actually been there, so I'll find out. So that's why they're here today. Obviously there's a little transport museum, so if you can't be here for the 60th anniversary celebrations, you can always come to Peel, see one of the Peel P50s, the originals, in the museum here. It's free entry, it's very recommended, it's a pretty cool place. But today is obviously the 60th anniversary celebration in Peel. So the plan is, there's a little display here, then a photo shoot outside the factory where these cars were made, which is right next door here. And then they will lead Peel Carnival, and I think after that some of them may try a lap of the TT course. So I'm going to try and grab as much random footage from the day as I can, and yeah, enjoy. See you later. So now we're heading over to the factory for the photo shoot there and a little tour of it apparently.
You're struggling too.
Yeah.
You're younger than me, though, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm 83.
Oh, you're only a nipper.
Yes.
It's 91 now.
Yeah.
She was
We're the only ones surviving.
On Celia.
Where's Celia? Is she here today?
No, she's not here.
No.
We've reserved the space for you.
You did an awful lot of work for the Centenary
Yeah.
Centre, didn't
That's
you?
right.
You must have been thrilled
No,
about
it's
that.
not a problem.
Well,
See you later.
never thought it would come off really, but
It's still going strong, though, isn't it?
There you go, Helen.
Push chairs, aren't they?
Fit for a queen.
It's not the one you were sitting on when you worked for Cyril, is it?
Yeah.
It is, it's just been painted and
No,
covered.
Philip didn't.
Cyril.
Cyril didn't believe in anything luxury. No.
So, would you like to give us an overview as
No.
the secretary of how life was in PL Engineering?
You were just telling me about your office. So
Yes.
people won't know where the office and everything was.
Yeah.
The office over there. The white door. But that's all been extended now. It wasn't that big, was it?
didn't think it was.
No, it's all been extended.
And where was the photograph taken with the hovercraft?
Underneath that.
That under the back there, behind that building, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hovercraft was built on the big tall one, wasn't
Yes.
it? On the top floor.
And there was a warm lake.
Gone now.
Has it gone?
Where the two tanks are.
There was a warm lake. The water from the power station was heating the water in the lake, so we could test all the boats in comfort. If we fell in, the water was warm.
And there's a bit of footage of you driving a P50 up the hill. Which bit of hill did you go?
Peel Hill. Just halfway along Peel Hill.
Halfway to Breakwater, so a little road going up, didn't it?
Yeah.
Up the steep road.
And people are probably interested to know about when you went down to do your modelling down at
Earl's Court. We only had the prototype then.
Yeah.
And we were really friendly with Vidal Oil. Wasn't the big American?
What was his name?
Yes.
Getty. Getty, wasn't it?
Yes. He had a big mansion
That's right.
down, and Henry Kissack went down, didn't he? And Henry, all Henry could say was, it was opulent everywhere, but he made us pay for a phone call. He had a phone box in the entrance of his hall for this big mansion, and if you wanted to make a phone call, you had to pay.
And so why did you end up having to do the modelling with, did they not employ a model or anything?
Oh, you must be joking. Cyril did everything on the cheap, didn't he?
Absolutely.
We never had fresh milk in our tea. We had to have condensed milk because the fresh milk would have gone off. And so we had to have tin milk, didn't we? Yeah.
I'd forgotten that, yeah.
And I've never had tin milk since.
And you were telling me about an interesting story that after it appeared at Earl's Court, you had loads of postal correspondence from all over the world.
Oh, yes. We had nuns from India and people from Africa begging for a free car to help us go around their villages. No.
And what happened to all the correspondence?
In
Thrown
the
in-
bin. Yes. No. We sent motorcycle fairings all over the world, and lots of these riders couldn't speak English, so I would get a postcard with a drawing of whichever one they wanted, with wings put on, so I would know that I had to fly a replacement windscreen to their nearest airport. It was quite good fun, wasn't it? But there were lots of things that Peel Engineering made that hasn't been mentioned. The Renault cars we made, didn't we? Do you remember those packages at the bottom of Renault?
The door.
Yes.
Yeah, the door pockets and things like that they made.
They haven't been mentioned in the paper. And then Henry had some wild idea of football badges of every football club in the British Isles. He got a pattern, didn't he, from
I
every...
don't remember that one.
Do I? Oh, I do, and I thought it was the craziest idea. And he had these plastic badges going to flood the British market. Anyway, that didn't take off.
And can you remember when you left to get married to Dad, they offered you a car or a boat?
Yes.
And what did Dad say?
Take the boat, it'd be more useful. But then, knowing son Paul and his friends, a car would have been wrecked in 5 minutes. So
But the boat, we've still got the boat
still
down the
got
farm.
the boat and it's still working. Yeah. So it was, the boats were good, weren't they?
Boat was good. Yeah,
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah.
And you told me that they had a bit of a racket going with the boats.
Yeah, well, with the purchase tax at that time and the boats, you couldn't hire them to people
Because the
for
insurance.
a day. So you sold them
And opened that.
and then the next day you bought it back again, so you didn't have to pay purchase tax.
I can't imagine Sid will be up to that.
Well, it wasn't me. I only had to do the paperwork. No, nothing underhand with me. We paid all our taxes and everything. And we had a great time at Blackpool, didn't we? Did you go to
No,
Blackpool?
I didn't go to Blackpool
Oh,
now.
well, we went to Blackpool to a motor show there,
That's when you put it up the tower.
up the tower, yes. But none of those photographs survived for some reason. No. Yeah. And then the Trident car was in the motorcycle magazine with a cartoon, wasn't it? Yes. The original man who did the cartoon for Motorcycle sent me the original copy, and it's now up in the museum in Ramsey, Derby, isn't it?
Yeah, we've lent it.
Yeah. Can't think of anything else.
So did you like driving the car? Did you find it fun? Or did you hate it?
I didn't even have a license.
Really?
It was only after I got married that I got a license, and passed
Didn't
first
go
time. Not like the men in the family.
The photo of you sat on top of the prototype, did you
Yes.
climb up there yourself or did
Oh,
you
yes.
get lifted up?
I was very agile in those days. I played tennis a lot. Yeah, I could
Mum was
move.
the mixed doubles island champion, so tennis was her first love, and
Yeah.
But you were born in Peel, weren't you?
Yeah, so
and that's in
no,
fact
I like Peel. Peel is, even now, Peel is the best place on the island.
It is.
Second is Colby.
and you were a neighbour of Cyril's, weren't you?
Yes,
Yeah.
Cyril lived further down the road. Marriott Villas with his mother.
All right.
Yes, he was a bit of a genius, but like all geniuses,
He was a bit of...
odd. But then that's what clever people are, aren't they? Clever, very clever people always are a bit different from
Yeah,
all
I
of us.
only really got to know him when he was on his last legs, more or less, you know.
But you had an incentive plan for the girls that were doing the fiberglass,
Oh,
and that went a
yes,
bit
he
wrong,
decided
didn't it?
that he would put them on, what would you call
Like
it?
an incentive scheme.
Yes.
Yeah.
The more
Piecework.
they did, the more they
The
get.
more, yes. But it didn't work out like Cyril thought, because they worked so hard, but they weren't doing it properly, were they? And the first 2 weeks, they were earning hundreds of pounds on the piecework, so he had to cut that out because every other one failed sort of the good test.
And you were describing to me about the actual mould, how they made the mould.
Yeah, the molds were made of wood, and they were all
And they
very
invented
clever,
that
weren't they?
themselves.
Well, yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
And there was Dick Cowley. Dick was he was another sort of clever.
Odd fellow
He was
too.
odd, but he was very clever, wasn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
And,
I think he picked his people right. You know, I think there was lots came and went.
yes,
But the ones that stayed.
yes, yeah, we sort of put up with them.
Can I ask you, did you have a test driver for these little cars? Who was the test driver? Was it just Cyril or?
Test driver was George Gillen, really.
George, yes, George Gelling
He
was
did most of that,
he was
yeah.
a clever engineer.
And what sort of test did you put it through?
It was usually a run from here out to the breakwater and back, and if it
All
made
right.
it, that was it.
You didn't have any rough circuit or anything to
No,
try it round
no.
on?
Well, it
Over
was
some
cobble- it was
cobbles or?
Cobble Street out there.
All
then
right.
in the days,
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and what bits broke to start with?
Nothing.
Nothing broke. No, the engines were the biggest failure. That was the problem.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, wasn't
Oh.
that because people were putting straight petrol in?
That was a lot of the problem with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how is it that you got onto DKW engines then? Why not BSA or something like
There's
that?
only ones you could get to supply, I think, at the time. You know,
Right.
that was they were behind the Iron Curtain in them days. So
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
wasn't easy getting them, and it wasn't easy getting parts for them. You know.
And can you remember how much they used to pay for the little engines then, going back into '62?
No idea.
Be about £1 or something? Or?
Can't remember.
No. And who were your main suppliers then?
But
You know, for components, like your wheels and where did you know where they all came from?
Go-kart wheels at the time. you know.
Right.
So they were Avon, I think it was.
It's Avon tyres.
How many people were employed at the peak, would you say, were employed?
Well, it said in the paper over,
50.
but it wasn't.
I've never seen
I've
that. I'm surprised you wouldn't move, would you? I don't know. I would have thought 20 would have been at the most.
Well, even 20 I thought was pushing it a bit. But we knew them all, but they were all locals, weren't they?
They were all
And there was I've always remembered a lovely man from Douglas, Wedgwood Prynne. Do you remember Wedgwood?
Wedgie Prynne, yeah.
And I thought, what a lovely name. You know, when he was a child, somebody called Wedgwood Prynne. It was a really lovely name, and he was a lovely man. He didn't get
I don't know
on.
what his position was, really.
He was just general sort of dog's body,
Dog
wasn't
body,
he? But
no.
Cyril didn't take to him somehow, did he? No.
So you were doing the wages, were you? And the
Yeah.
bookkeeping
Yeah.
and
Accounts.
and you met all the famous motorbike riders that came
Yes.
over for the fairings.
Yeah.
So people like
Jeff Duke and
Yeah.
Yeah, it was all the top men
all
in
the
them
top,
days.
yes. Mike Halewood. I can remember Mike Halewood walking around the works with a Viking helmet. Didn't we make Viking helmets? And he was thrilled to have a Viking helmet. Yes. That was disaster when he was killed, wasn't it?
Yeah. And Jeff Duke spent a lot of time down here, didn't
Yes,
he?
yeah.
He helped develop some affairs. And
Well,
stuff,
yes,
you know, he did.
yeah. Well, he did sort of testing in
Yeah.
the wind tunnels in England on the fairings.
Right.
That wasn't sort of just done locally.
And what was average wage per week then for one of your workers, would you say, that you were doing the wage slips? Because it wouldn't alter much in the 60s, would it?
That time was about £14.
Well, that was quite good, wasn't it?
I didn't think so.
Well, if you worked in a garage in UK, you were on about £7 a week in 1960s, and that were classed as like a good wage.
Oh,
So they were paying double what you got if you worked on an Austin Morris or something. You know.
I'm sure my husband didn't marry me for my money.
Was there a story about a TT rider who bought a fairing and he said he just wanted to ride the bike down the road to check the fairing and he disappeared and
Yes,
never
he
paid?
never came back to pay. We got him on the boat though, didn't we?
I don't recall that one.
And Phil Reed, is Phil Reed still alive?
Yes, I think he is.
Oh, well, I won't say anything more.
He didn't. He still owes, does he?
No, they were all. Bob McIntyre, we were upset about him.
Yeah. And these
There were lots of lovely riders.
Yeah. And these top riders, did they want these fairings providing for free, or did they usually pay?
No, they all paid.
Oh, they all paid, right.
Paid,
Oh, their
yes.
company to work for or whatever.
Yes, all except one.
So were there very many companies specialising in GRP, or was Peel really quite ahead of its time?
He was ahead of his time.
So it's really good to know.
In the very beginning, he was well ahead of his time.
Yes, always. Yeah.
I think he went to America.
Did he?
Yeah. After he finished in the war, as far as I know,
He was in the RAF, wasn't he?
He was a fighter pilot, wasn't
Yeah.
he? In the RAF. And I think after he come out of that, and his family had the ferries, didn't they?
Yes, in Douglas.
In Douglas, going across the harbour, and he took over that, and when that died off, as far as I know, he went to America because he'd heard of this fiberglass, and he went and found out about it and came back, and then I think he passed them in what to do with it. You know, he was well ahead.
So yes, good, yeah.
You weren't allowed to say fiberglass because that was a registered American. It had to be glass fibre.
Uh-huh.
Ah.
Didn't they test a hovercraft in the field?
No,
Yeah.
Well, what Cyril told me, and you might know, you may not even know this, I don't know. It was like when he was on his last legs and he's going to sit and talk to him. That at one time Ford Motor Company sent a representative over to see him, and he'd been building these whatever it is, car bodies at the time, you know, fiberglass car bodies fitted on Fords and things. And they wanted him to produce fiberglass bodies, sports bodies for Ford. Or Ford was going to use them on their cars, if you want. But it was quite a big job, quite a big, serious thing. And he went to the government here if he could see could he get some money to improve the factory and things. And they turned him down, so he couldn't do the job other than that. But yeah, Ford had heard of him and wanted him.
But Ford never followed up themselves with anyone else?
No, he didn't, no.
Opportunity lost.
We've still got complaints about the government, haven't we?
Nothing's changed.
No, nothing has changed.
When the factory closed, you were telling me that about the moulds. What happened to the moulds?
Well, we thought they were all buried, but
yeah.
somebody said that they
Somebody took them and buried them and obviously didn't.
and they've re-emerged, haven't they?
Yeah, they're all over the place.
Yes. So,
What gave him the inspiration to build these little cars then?
pardon?
What gave him the inspiration to build these little cars?
Well, he was always making little models of things, wasn't he?
Yeah. We never knew what he was up to, didn't we?
All day long he would be sitting in his office on his own with moulds and he lived with his mother, so he had no sort of outside hobbies, did he?
No.
He didn't play bowls, he didn't...
He did have a girlfriend at one stage, didn't he?
Did he?
Yeah,
I didn't
didn't you know?
No, I didn't know.
It's coming out now.
Who was it?
I can't think of her name now. She lived in, I know she lived at the house she lived in unqiue, because it was next door to my wife.
Oh.
Mother, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But,
Oh,
I think, but because he wouldn't leave his mother, I think she gave up on him.
Yes.
So if you could sum it up in a few words, what was the best part of Peel Engineering working there?
Oh, the staff.
The staff.
And excitement. You never know what was going to happen from one day to the next.
Yeah.
No, you didn't, did you?
No.
You know,
did you have good
morale?
There'd be one disaster after another, wouldn't there?
You come in the morning and we'd use a bit of paper and that, oh, what's this we're doing today, you know. And very often you only knew what you were making. You didn't know what it was going to finish up at, you know.
It was wonderful to see the windscreens being moulded for the first time, though. I thought that was exciting.
The bubbles.
So they were made here as well?
Yes, the bubbles. He designed that with George Gellin, didn't he? And it was really exciting to see that first time, to see it actually sort of melting and going.
Yeah, the Perspex manufacturers came over to have a look, didn't they?
Yes.
Because they couldn't believe it. They were able to do this.
Is it right that they used electric bucket elements? Did they use electric bucket elements to heat them up?
Probably. I didn't go into the technical side. I just thought it was exciting just seeing it formed right in front of your eyes. And then all those little plastic balls, little tiny things, and they all moulded together and made a shape.
Oh yeah.
That was exciting too, wasn't it? Probably wouldn't be exciting to people today, but in those days it was all.
It was a bit
so
ahead of
new.
its time, wasn't
yes, it was
really
ahead of its time.
Because they must have used similar technology for the old war aircraft to make the domes and the bubbles for that. So the technology must have already been there, but not reapplied for anything else.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know whether the aircraft was plastic or not. I don't know. Perspex, whether they could have blown it into a bubble, I don't know.
What gave him the inspiration for the hovercraft?
He just tried everything,
Well,
period. Everything.
It was something new, wasn't it?
Yes.
Because he wasn't credited with inventing the hovercraft, and yet you were driving the hovercraft before the records say that a woman drove a hovercraft.
Wasn't Valerie Singleton
That's it.
written as the first woman to have driven it?
But that was years after you'd...
Yeah.
Oh, well, you can't believe anything BBC says, can you?
But it's in the Guinness Book of Records.
We
and
can't
I
believe,
think
you can't
we
believe
need
that
to get
one either, can you?
record changed.
Yeah.
Leave
Yes,
that
I
with
do.
me.
I do think we need to get that changed.
I wouldn't challenge the Book of Guinness Book of Records.
I think we need to put you on the wall of fame. Yeah, definitely.
Is there any scandal you can tell us about that happened in factory? You know, a bit of
Any scandals, are you saying? Was there any
yeah,
scandals?
any juicy bits?
You won't end up in prison.
Our lips are sealed.
Yeah. What about Christmas parties? Did you have Christmas parties?
No.
Oh, crikey.
Nothing like that.
Did you have your own socials as a working team?
No, nobody met outside, did they? Nobody met outside for social occasions.
No. You never even thought about it.
No. That's only a modern thing, isn't it? Everybody going from work. You didn't even have a do when you left, did you? I hear for retirement parties now, and it's costing the girl who's retiring 50 or 500 or 600 pounds just to put on a lunch for the office girls. No, there's nothing like that, was there?
Well, he must have thought something about you if he offered you a car or a boat.
No pension. Just
No, no.
Didn't he have lots of things that he was selling as tourist material as well? Weren't you making stuff for selling for tourists?
No, only no.
Just the hats? Was it just the Viking helmets?
helmets.
Right. Okay.
He made lots of money on the go-karts up at Onkenhead, didn't he?
Yeah.
Monday morning, he would come in with bags and bags of cash that were all had to be counted and sorted. That was a really good.
Yeah, Uncle Stadium.
Yeah, people loved the go-karts up there.
Are you around still, the go-karts?
Pardon?
Do we have any of the go-karts and Viking helmets still surviving anywhere?
I've got a Viking helmet.
You've got a Viking helmet.
helmets about.
But none of the go-karts
No.
survive. That's a real shame. It sounded like you made quite a few.
Yeah. And they had canoes up there as well, didn't they? That made some money.
Did they have canoes?
Yeah.
Yeah, boats on the heating water over here as well.
That's right, yeah. Little electric
Yeah.
boats.
Yeah. Yes, he tried hard, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
What did you think, Ernie, to the DKW engines? What was your thoughts on those? Did you have many problems with them?
We didn't have any problems with them, no.
Well, not you, but I heard stories that it would have been better with a Triumph Tina engine in.
Well, yeah,
No,
but
it's
they weren't
okay.
available then. Tina was a few years after.
Yeah, talking to George, you were telling me.
Yeah, Tina was a good thing. Yeah. That was
Yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah.
And that cracked on as well.
Yeah. Am I right in saying that they had a lot of comebacks with the engines packing up
You
and
did.
they had to replace the engines?
Yes. Yeah.
And that cost the company a lot of money.
I think that's what brought it to the
Brought it to
end,
its
really.
knees. Yeah.
How
It's
did
just
you
very
all,
sad.
Sorry. How did you all come over on the boat? Did you drive your little cars over?
Oh, I took a trailer.
I was wondering
I'm from the middle of England. So
I was worrying about the steam packet.
It doesn't go too well on the M6.
No.
if you pay the steam packet enough money, they'll take anything. So
Yeah.
they'll gladly take it.
We always sent them away in crates, didn't we?
Yeah.
Big wooden crates.
Yeah, except there was a load of Tridents went on the boat direct, didn't they?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Photo of them.
put them on low loaders and drove them in.
Yeah.
Some people have put them in vans and bought them in vans and stuff over the weekend.
Yeah.
I don't think many people have driven them.
No. It would have been a sight on the banks boat, wouldn't it?
You'd still be getting
So
it.
modern and all. So modern and yet so.
Anybody got any more questions? I think this young lady needs a nice cup of tea. Warm her up. Yeah? We call it a wrap. Thank you very much.